Hello everyone, welcome to this video where we are going to observe some pattern, or well, we can put it as property between sine and cosine ratios of acute and obtuse angles. Okay, so let's zoom into this first box first, where we look at the acute angle, where acute angle is angle between 0 and 90. Then a very important property, which later we will look at the table to ascertain the fact, is that sine of an acute angle is always positive. The cosine of an acute angle is also always positive. But for an obtuse angle, where the obtuse angle is between 90 and 180, the sine ratio happens to be positive, but later on, when I show you the table, you will see that the cosine ratio is always negative. Well, you could use a scientific calculator to key in all the values. This is the set of values for our activity here to observe the pattern, where you will see that for a acute angle, for sine, it is always positive, 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 and positive. Sine of an acute angle is also positive. And when I look at the cosine of an acute angle, is also always positive, positive throughout, yeah? It's all positive. Cosine of the acute angle. Then when I turn our attention to obtuse angle though, which is the angle here, then you see that the sine ratio all is still positive. Yep. It is still positive, the sine ratio. But notice, this is a very important fun fact or property for cosine of an obtuse angle. It is always negative. That's the first observation that we must take note of. The second observation though, what do you notice about the values of the ratio? Do you notice that there is a pattern that we can actually observe? That what is so special when the acute and the obtuse angle add up to 180 degrees, what happened? The sine ratio is always the same for a supplementary pair of angles, where the angles add up to 180 degrees. The sine ratio is exactly the same. Yep, that brings me to this particular point. When the angles add up to 180 degrees, the sine of the acute and the obtuse, when this acute and obtuse angle add up to 180, right? The sine ratio is exactly the same. Then, when I look at the cosine ratios, when this pair of angles add up to 180, what happens also? What do you notice about the values? Oh, the absolute values are the same. But do you notice that the acute angle, the cosine ratio of the acute angle is always positive, while that of the obtuse angle is negative, but the value, absolute value, is the same. Which brings me to the next observation here, that the cosine of an acute and the cosine of an obtuse angle, should the two angles add up to 180, share this relationship. The value, absolute value, is the same, but the obtuse angle will be, the ratio, cosine ratio of the obtuse angle will be negative. Yep. So this is also another point to take note. If the angle is acute, the sine and cosine are both positive. This is just to reiterate the point above. And if it is obtuse, then the sine is positive, but the cosine is negative. And we will explore how then can we apply this knowledge to help us solve problems involving the trigonometric ratios of an obtuse angle. With that, we have come to the end of this video. So if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to this channel. Thank you and have a nice day.